that in. Welcome, my friends, to Bullshit and Bourbon.
Am I supposed to be seeing something impressive?
Bullshit and Bourbon, where we sip on the finest whiskeys. We're just going to go live cigars and dive deep into the unfiltered.
Well, my phone popped up that it was blocking here, some link. Don't shy away from Rumble, so I'm like, whatever. There we are.
All right. We are now live. Let's make sure.
What are we talking about today?
So, Jeff, I learned a little bit about the white rabbit and what it means on Alice in Wonderland.
All right. Welcome to Bullshit and Bourbon. And tonight we got Jeff, we got Taylor and Myke. Gary is out. He is we got Gary is doing a little bit of coaching for baseball, like he mentioned last episode. He's pretty deep into that, so he wasn't able to make it today. But we do have his contributions for our topics, so we'll roll right into it. So what's everybody up to? What are you up to, Taylor?
Wasting my day on Twitter was probably the biggest waste of my day. So I spent way too much time there.
I tried to add you on Twitter. It's like weird that like you're my brother and I for some reason somehow don't have you on Twitter.
Well, I'm a complete nobody on Twitter. Like I don't post hardly anything. Jeff's a big deal on Twitter.
Big deal is a very relative term. I have 1,000 followers. I would assume half of them are porn bots. So I don't know.
It says a lot about your algorithm, and we'll get into that here in a bit.
I blocked him for a while, and I was like, "Screw it, I don't care."
Jeff's actually really good on Twitter because he gets like how you like actually build like good relationships. Like he's always commenting on other people's posts and giving them positive feedback. Like Twitter for me has been the hardest place, like commenting wise, because it's like people are just so mean to each other on there. It's just like, holy smokes, like settle down.
That's half the fun.
But like it's like everything is a giant conspiracy on that thing. It's like, oh my gosh, like I was talking about the rabbit hole. I learned on Twitter.
Are you saying the rabbit hole?
Huh? Yeah, like the rabbit hole, like Alice in Wonderland. So Alice in Wonderland, there's the white rabbit, and according to Twitter, the white rabbit is reference to what's that drug that they claim?
LSD?
No. It's the drug that they claim that the rich and elite scare little children and then take.
Oh, adrenochrome. Adrenochrome or something like that.
Yeah, it's a reference to adrenochrome because Lewis Carroll, the writer, was they claim he was a pedophile. I don't know how they know this, but he was a pedophile. And,
this sounds very reputable so far.
I know, and that is why Obama had an Alice in Wonderland party at the White House.
It all ties together.
Stretch.
I know, and I was on.
I don't like Obama's politics, not everything anyway, but yeah, I think that might be a little bit of a stretch.
I'm just telling you what I learned on X today. I get it. But that was the whole thing where I was just like, okay, I got to turn this thing off. Like, this is just getting out of control.
You can get lost, and I do it often, mostly to, like help promote Blockchain Basement and, like some of my buddies, different channels and stuff like that. I spend a lot of time, trying to help boost up their views and, things like that. And then, of course, trying to get this thing going. But yeah, you can get lost on social media for hours and hours and hours. TikTok, I had to get rid of it. I spent way too much time on that thing.
I know that thing.
TikTok
that thing is an expert.
That's Taylor's best friend right there, TikTok.
It sucks you in.
Have you seen Taylor's videos though that he does? Like,
they're great.
Like every time he goes out with the family and stuff like that, he's always like, it looks like he's always on his phone. But at the end of the outing, he has like the coolest videos put together that he shares with everybody. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, no, that's
like my thing is one day I want all those videos that my kids, because I always just feel my kids doing things, and so I want them to be able to go back when they're adults and watch them and go, oh yeah, remember when we went and did that crazy thing? And so that's that one
that you took with the three of us and your other buddy and all the boys and stuff like that when we went up the mountain, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Best thing you can do, learn, film your kids, and then put it together, put a video up, because when you get those memories years later, that's like the best thing about Facebook or Instagram is the memories.
Mm. There really is a positive side to social media. It's a really fine line you have to walk.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just realize it's like people are putting their fake life out there. It's not really like that all the time. And so, you can't look at other people's posts and measure it against your life, because you're going to be a miserable sack of shit if you do. Because like you said, everyone's posting like the highlights of their life, and you're looking at all your friends and family and seeing only the good. Nobody's posting, the arguments that they're having with their spouse, or, if their, kid is on drugs, or, nobody's, posting that stuff. Everyone's posting their vacation stuff and, the food they're eating. And like their best angle. Like for guys, I don't think it's a big of a deal, because we don't care as much of like, oh, John's doing great. But like for women, it seems to affect them way more. They're like, man, look how good Susan looked. I don't look as good as her. And it's like, holy smokes, you don't have to look as good as her. But I just think, like, for some reason, social media.
Taylor didn't go with, that's not true. He went, well, you don't have to look as good as her.
He's keeping it real.
That's true. She's smoking hot.
That's exactly how you approach it. And then it subconsciously gets into her head, like, oh, maybe I need to work out more.
I can't see any comments yet on comments on my phone as I got it set up. But if there are any, I'm sure that's going to generate some. That's pretty freaking funny.
Well, the comments are like about how TikTok sucked away their life. Just it's like I had to delete it after 45 minutes because it would it is a you'll go down rabbit holes that you've never thought it possibly existed on that thing. But I'll tell you, you'll get a lot more like information than you will on Instagram. It's amazing to me the difference. Instagram, I only get like plain vanilla, like comedy. It's like the dumbest form of entertainment.
Yeah.
Right.
TikTok, you'll get that dumb information, but you also get, after a while,
the edgy political, and
you'll get a lot of actually information about things, which I see now why the government wanted to get rid of it, because like they have no control over what's going, where they do Facebook and Instagram, and then X, it's everything out there. Like you'll get whatever anybody wants to post, and so you get all type of information.
Oh, sweet. My buddy Johnny December made it. Yeah, he lives down in Guatemala. I want to say it's Guatemala. But I've been talking to him about going down there. He has a fishing boat, like an offshore fishing boat, and post all kinds of badass pictures of him and his family and friends out fishing for the day and stuff. And he's like invited a bunch of us to come down there and go out with him. And they got MMA fights and stuff like that at the local bar, and it looks badass. I'm like, I might need to go down there and see if I can find me a good property.
Well, he would probably be a great podcast to have him on and talk about like living outside of the country, because
that'd be an expat.
Hey, Belize. That's it, Belize. Hey, Johnny, type in the chat if you'd be willing to come on and talk about fishing and being an expat, down there in Belize.
This conversation reminds me of a meme I saw where it was like what Americans think geography is, and it was like anything south of the border of Texas, like
Mexico.
including all of South America, which is Mexico.
Like actual Mexico is like northern Mexico, and then like Belize and Honduras and all that is like central Mexico, and then South America is southern Mexico.
South Mexico, right, exactly.
Exactly. That's so true. Like we're like, it's somewhere south. Guatemala, I think he's there.
Yeah.
It's not here.
Speak Spanish.
Only 1,000 miles away from each other.
And then for Jeff, Canada, it just said America's hat. Anyway.
All right, cool. No, Johnny said he'll come on. So, hey, I'll chat with you online, Johnny. But let me know if start thinking about maybe like next Sunday having you on, because honestly, I have a lot of questions because I really do. I really do want to find a place outside the country that I can go to during the winter times. Actually, what I've been up to, I'll jump to me. We'll go back to Jeff, but like what I've been doing this week is I actually rebuilt my whole well system and my plumbing. So I don't have to worry about it freezing this winter. About 2 years ago, it got 30 below and froze my pump house, my pump, all my plumbing that was outside. I had a heater going. It got too cold for it. And the whole thing exploded. So I spent Christmas weekend like out there in 20, 30 below, rebuilding my whole, well system. So I had water. I went like 2 days without water. So I basically brought the pressure tank inside. I got a submerged pump down in there. So now I don't got to worry about it at all. So I can actually leave during the winter time now. So long story short, Johnny, I'd love to pick your brain a little bit, and it, probably help a lot of people if we put it on air too. But other than that, I've just been trading, started doing a little bit of crypto scalp trading and day trading, and actually doing quite well. Made probably about $700 or $800 this week, just doing some small trades. Been posting them online. One of them I made over 200% return, so that was pretty awesome. But other than that, I haven't been doing too much. What about you, Jeff?
Well, I didn't make any money trading. And unlike my business partner that apparently just wasted his day on Twitter after spending the week in Vegas, granted it was for work, but still.
It's true.
I actually worked like 6 hours yesterday, and I worked another like 5 hours today, which is unfortunate since tomorrow's Monday. But I finally am starting to get ahead of things, which is nice. And then so trying to live up to the namesake, pour myself, even though this says Rabbit Hole, which is a fantastic bourbon, by the way, or bourbon brand.
I'm going to get that next. I'm going to get that next week.
I really like Rabbit Hole, but I'm actually drinking Blanton's.
I bet you do.
Blanton's is it's funny. The Blanton's I'm drinking, I actually got in Avignon, France, because if you're not like in Kentucky or a few other places, right? Blanton's is really hard to get, and it's often allocated, and it's often, or you can get it, but they want to charge you like $150 or $200 for a bottle. It's list price is like $79, and I'm not going to do that. And I happened to go on a cruise. My wife and I were on a Mediterranean cruise a couple 3 years ago, and we're in this we're in this port, and we go to this tiny little 800-year-old city in the middle of France. It's got like the walls and the fortresses and all these cathedrals and stuff. And there's this little wine. We're walking down this cobblestone street. There's this little wine shop and liquor shop, and I see a Blanton's in the window. And I walk in. I'm like, "What do you want for that?" And he goes, "The Blanton's." And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you want for the Blanton?" He's like, "It's whatever the bottle costs." And I'm like, "Right, but what does the bottle cost?" And he quotes it to me, and it was list price. I'm like, "This is crazy! I gotta go to France to be able to buy it at list price." So he's like, "Do you want the bottle?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So anyway, I just finished the last of that, sadly. But yeah, that's what I've been up to.
I'll have to see if I can find it.
Oh, I started reading Nikola Tesla's book, My Inventions. Fascinating. Like
it's like an autobiography or something, or what?
Yeah, it's his autobiography, and him explaining like right now I'm going through like how his mind just works, and it's just like crazy. Like he would build all of his inventions in his mind for sometimes months before he would ever start actually building it.
Can you imagine what that guy could build with today's technology?
Oh gosh, like
he could fix it.
Well,
he could just fix it all.
Steroids. Well, no, he'd be like Elon Musk on steroids.
Oh yeah, like I see why Elon Musk was obsessed with him, and because it's like he had some weird ability where he started seeing at a young age flashes of light, and then he would be able to mentally basically do everything. Kind of like if we have to like write it down or build it, and then we can comprehend things.
Almost like he had like a mental AI, like where he could generate it like blueprints and like test it, and
that's genius.
Yeah,
literally,
it was actually fascinating. And like one of his very first very young age, some kids invited him on some fishing thing, and he invented in a few hours a new type of fishing hook that apparently he could like catch fish just by dragging it through the way. It was like crazy how he like did it, and it just blew everybody away that he just pulled it out of thin air and built it right in front of them. It's almost like he was like some kind of wizard or something. like
honestly, here. I think the only thing that killed that guy in his day and age was just that he wasn't the promoter, or he didn't have the marketing skills and the people skills that Edison had, because Edison was huge. And I mean, anybody that knows anything about the topic knows that Tesla worked for Edison in his lab. And basically Edison, he was a smart guy, but most of the stuff he invented was other people's inventions that worked for him. And go ahead.
He was like Bill Gates. Like, he couldn't really come up with the ideas himself, but his genius was his ability to actually manufacture and put together, do the logistics of everything.
And balls. Because I watched, if you guys haven't seen this, it's crazy. You guys need to watch. There's this documentary about the chick, it was like Theranos or whatever, like the Theranos, how do you say that? The girl.
Thanos?
No, not Thanos, but like the woman, this came out like 3-4 years ago. It's the woman that she had like the super deep voice and it was all fake. The one that was like she became like a billionaire every time she's 28 because she dropped out of Stanford.
You talking about Ruth transgender?
Well, she might have been. I don't know. She's in prison now. But the whole thing is,
I know who you're talking about.
Her idea was she could take a drop of blood and run like 50 different tests on it, and she could put this machine in like every CVS, whatever. You go in, you pay like $99, and you get like all these tests that would normally cost you thousands of dollars, right? And she had like Bill Clinton on the board. She had all kinds of luminaries. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're the next generation," right? Except for it was a complete fraud. Now, apparently, she still believed eventually she basically was like fake it till you make it. Like literally, when they would have investors come in and like these massive board members and these or journalists, they would have somebody do like the thing with the machine, and then they would take them to we're going to take you to like our computer lab, and then an assistant would come in, take the blood out of the machine, go run it on a traditional machine, and then return it and like put the results in the machine to make it look like it's working. Right? Here's the point of this. At the beginning of this, whatever this documentary is, which I cannot freaking remember it, they tell the story of how Edison gave shares away in GE before GE was even a thing to reporters for either false stories or flattering stories, or to not expose things, because it took him like Edison's genius was the fact that he didn't give up, right? He's the one that's it took him 1,000 different ways to figure out before he could figure out a filament that wouldn't burn out in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
But for like 3 years, he was doing road shows, raising money from investors, showing people a light bulb that worked. It was a parlor trick. It didn't work at all. And the reason we consider him, the father of electricity and this, this genius inventor is because he hit it before he ran out of runway. Had he not, he would be like the Madoff of the scientific community. And instead he's lauded as this, sort of not a founding father, but as this giant of science and innovation. And not that he didn't do a whole lot of stuff, but he faked it till he made it. And he just happened to get away with it. Crazy.
Hey, Taylor, can you see Jeff?
So, Jeff, you're frozen. I'm playing the piano right now. He's like,
what?
Can you see
I
yourself?
can't even see it.
Well, I see two Taylors.
Oh, really? I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, your
I see
feet's all
Taylor.
frozen then.
Oh, there
There
we
we
go.
go.
Oh, there you go. Now you're fixed.
All right.
Now-
technical difficulties.
Did you hear my did I land my point though about he's a fraud, but he got away with it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It was,
Yeah. Gee, I mean, and honestly, part of me is like,
It's
all right,
very,
cool.
Very astute, very learned.
yeah. That's a
I
lot
have
of
no idea
life.
what's happening.
All right. Well,
You're
let's jump into the.
Yeah, you're
the
like
first-
flicking back and forth, Taylor. I don't know what's going on with you. You're turning into like a robot or something.
That's because you just have bad internet connection.
Yeah, it's your feed. He looks fine to me. Well, let's jump into our first topic, and so this is one that Grok gave me. The time travel dilemma. Each person gets to choose one historical event they wish they could have witnessed, live alive, or one historical figure they'd like to meet. Discuss the implications of such time travel, and what would they say or do, and how might that change their perspective and the butterfly effect of their presence in that time. Who wants to go first?
Not me.
I'll go first.
I got.
All right, go ahead, Taylor.
All right, so I was thinking about this, and I read about this guy earlier this week, and so he's the one that came to my mind, and it's Ashoka the Great. So Ashoka the Great was an Indian king. He lived about 100 years after Alexander the Great, and he was a great conqueror. Went around conquering and doing his, I guess, what we would consider 3rd century BC normal king thing, which was conquering the local villages, trying to build his empire. And then one day he conquered, it's called the Kalinga War. And in the Kalinga War, he massacred about 100,000 people. And walking the battlefield after he was done, he was so mortified by what he had done, he swore to completely change himself. And he ushered in a new kingdom of peace. He converted to Buddhism, and he became a king of peace. And today, his chakra is on the Indian flag. If you look at the Indian flag in the middle, there's this blue symbol.
Yeah.
That's Ashoka's symbol, and it's to remind the Indian people about true governance, which is to be a peaceful people. And so he's the one I would love to go back and actually see that day, him walking that battlefield and seeing that change that would happen in him. Am I the only one here now? Like Michael just froze.
No, I can see you. I don't know where Jeff is. There he is.
You see me?
I see you now.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like Jeff. We decided that Jeff's nickname is Intel because he's like always having technical difficulties, and that seems to be what always comes up for his camera.
Well, you know what? I solved the problem. Little tip: you should charge your phone.
That helps. That helps.
When he gets to 1%, it freaks the hell out, and then it dies. So all I heard was time travel, and then Taylor says some name I've never heard before, and that's it.
It was actually like we'll have to talk with you offline about it because it sounds like an interesting story, and I don't know, obviously don't know everything about history, but it's oddly enough a historical figure, seems to be a very prominent historical figure that I knew nothing about. But do you have oh, go ahead.
I heard the name one time, maybe two times before, and no knowledge about him until I read about him this week, and then I was like, wow, this is they consider him.
You read a lot. Like that's one thing that like if somebody like, and it's, have you always been like that? Because as a kid, I don't remember you being a reader.
No. I became it was really on my mission. I became obsessed with reading, like, because when you're a missionary, they don't allow you to do anything but read. So that's all I did for two years was just read. And then of course I went to school, and that's all, I got a history minor. And so that's all you do in school for the 2.5 years I was an undergrad. And then I went to law school, and that's all I did in law school was read. And so I did, by that, it was like a decade later of just reading all the freaking time that just became my thing of like, I love to just read things. Like you get so much more out of things when you read it. I don't know why, but at least I do.
Well, one thing I noticed is like Rachel and Robert are all huge readers. I mean, they just constantly read. And for me, it's like kryptonite. I have to sit down and force myself to fucking read. And most of the time I end up, while I'm reading, I'll think something I need to be doing or I want to be doing, and I'll go do it. It's really hard for me to sit down, and I need to master that skill, because everybody I know that is highly successful is they read on a regular basis.
One of the biggest secrets is if you think that you have to pick up a book and read the whole thing at that moment, that's what overwhelms you. If you develop the habit of reading like 1, 2, or 5 or a paragraph at a time, especially Michael, you have ADHD, which is why you can do 10,000 things and get 10,000 things done. Because it's like, yeah, you need to go and visit his cabin and see it. Like you like drive up to this place and he's built a whole world just like by yourself. Like, well, normal people can't do that, Michael. Like they can't like build their own homes, their everything around it, like landscape the whole thing and make it.
I'm abnormal and I still can't do that, but continue.
Yeah. But you're ability to do that. But like reading when you have ADHD is easy to do when you go, okay, I have this book here. I read a paragraph or two and then put it down and then go do whatever I'm going to do and then pick it back up. And once you develop that habit, it's simple. You break down it into a small parts.
I got decent at it when I was living in the tent building this place, because I didn't have all the distractions. I didn't have internet. I didn't have, my only thing was when it was light, I was building my cabin. When it was dark, I had my headlamp, and I went to the local library and I did nothing but read biographies and autobiographies of the founding fathers. That's like
just seeing this guy with a headlamp sitting inside a well-lit library.
Oh no!
Don't talk to the miner. He's crazy.
No, I wasn't in the library. I was sitting in a dome tent on my here on the property at night, while I could hear bears and whatever else going on around me, and I was just sitting in there reading my book. But yeah, that was. I
remember my dad told me.
No, I went down to the creek and I would take my bath, and then I'd come back. I'd take my cast iron out, make a steak, eat my steak, and then I'd go to bed, read a book, and go to sleep. Wake up the next morning and work on the cabin some more. But all right. Well, Jeff, do you have a place that you'd like to go in history, or a historical figure that you'd like to meet?
Oh. I thought that was a time travel. Yeah, you go for. I mean, there's a lot of answers to that, but yeah, you go.
All right. I have recently, and speaking of books, I don't know if you can see it. Just the Stoics. I've gotten really big into Stoicism, the past couple years. And Marcus Aurelius. I'm sure everybody out there has heard of Marcus Aurelius. He ushered in a new age in Rome of Caesars that or emperors that were considered enlightened, and a lot of his teachings. He was one of the most humble. Basically was a living God at the time. Could do anything to anybody. I mean, he could murder somebody in the streets of the city and get away with it if he wanted. And most Caesars, that's how they ruled. But for whatever reason, he lived very humbly and focused on being an honorable man. I don't think he had a son, but the son ended up being a piece of trash.
Yeah, haven't you watched Gladiator before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah.
What's his name?
Joaquin Phoenix is the actor.
Yeah.
Commodus. Marcus Aurelius' son was Joaquin Phoenix.
So Commodus caused the downfall of the Roman Empire because he was the complete opposite of his father.
Yeah. But anybody that hasn't, I mean, I would love to go back and sit down with him and just honestly just kind of be in like his presence and see what kind of human he was, just on a day-to-day basis, like to somewhat try to model myself after him, because everything that I've read about him and going through all of his meditations is he was just such a reflective. It seems like he just spent his days observing, reflecting, and dissecting everything to such and even everything he wrote, it wasn't meant to be printed and shared. It was almost like a diary, to where he was speaking to himself. He wasn't trying to teach other people. It wasn't like he was trying to be like, look at me. It was more of, I want to get my thoughts on paper so that I can continue to improve myself. And for that, that's who I pick. Jeff.
That's a good pick. All right, I got several because I'm not picking just one. So I probably will want to go back and meet Da Vinci, just because he was so beyond his, to your point about Nikola Tesla and what could he do if he had the technology at the time. But I mean, this guy, he's inventing flying machines on paper, 500 years ago or whatever. So I think that'd be cool. So I'd like to see Da Vinci and maybe a few other people in the Renaissance period. The Christian answer is to go back and meet Jesus, but I'm not
real quick. C90, one of my buddies, he spelled it the Wait brothers, but I think he means the Wright brothers. he must be drinking too. And he said that to understand if they were just some delusional drunk brothers or actually thought that they could solve flight. So he wants to see if they were just both drunk as shit.
They may have been, but there's a hell of an exhibit at the Smithsonian. Goes through all their stuff. It's pretty impressive what they had the balls to try to do, especially getting on that thing and testing it. Man, that's I don't know. So I would say Da Vinci. Okay. I would go back to day 3, Sunday. I guess day 3 of the and just sit outside the tomb and just solve this thing. Stone rolls away. He's not there. And I'm watching it the whole time. Problem solved. Some grave diggers come by. I just kind of get that out of the way.
Let's just clear out the bullshit. Did this happen or not?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Did Jeeves rise or did he not?
Right. Because that affects some things. You know what I'm saying? And then
a lot of things.
I think the third thing
about 2025 years of things.
Mm-hmm. And a whole bunch of wars. Anyway, that being said, the last thing I do, I'd only go back like 40 years. I just want to hang out on the set of Mork and Mindy with Robin Williams. I mean, I think it should be a freaking blast. I just want to like follow him for a day. I mean, hopefully where he knows I'm there. Otherwise, that's just creepy. But you know what I'm saying? Like, just hang out with Robin Williams for a day, see what that was like.
He was like entertaining as shit. But from what I've like, you know, not that it means anything, but what I've like read or not read, but what I've heard is he was a nightmare to work with, just because he would go off script so much.
Oh, I'm sure, because everybody else was trying to memorize their lines. He's just inventing it as he goes. Right? But still, living, I mean, what a genius, though.
Well, yeah, like that would be the hardest part about you're trying to act, and this person is so beyond abilities that he can just go. And you're like, there's just no way for you to keep up with that. Like, you'd have to have an incredible amount of intelligence to pull that off. To be
really hard.
You couldn't follow your lines with him going off script, you know, so you would have to freaking go off the cuff as well.
But here's the one thing I was thinking about that if I could go back in time, what I would do with Ashoka the Great, because that's the one I talked about, Jeff. Ashoka the Great, I would go back to the Kalinga War where he walked the thing and convince him not to become a Buddhist and convince him to continue to slaughter people, because I would want to come back to the future and to see what that actually did. Like, because
the butterfly. You want the
butterfly flag, because I want to know if him converting significant parts of, because Buddhism really spread because of him. And actually, you want some kind of interesting things about Stoicism. Ashoka the Great sent Buddhist missionaries to Greece around the same time that Zeno of Cyprus was coming up with a lot of the concepts of Stoicism. And people have marked about how Stoicism has a lot of Buddhist teachings in it. Like the idea. You know what?
I'm glad you brought that up, and I want you to pick back up. But one thing that I want to like make part of the conversation, because Jeff brought up, you know, Jesus, you know, in Christianity, and you're talking about this, and we're talking about Stoicism. I kind of want to go on a little bit of a rabbit trail and want to get your guys' input. It's something I've always thought about, because there's a part of the Bible, you know, from, you know, where Jesus was a young man to when he was about 30, to where he just disappeared. There's nothing.
12 to 30.
Yeah, and there's a theory that he went east, and that he studied, you know, with the Hindus, and he studied with the Buddhists, and he, you know, studied other philosophies and brought that back. And I want to get both of your thoughts on, you know, kind of how you think that might have shaped the world back then, because I kind of wonder if there is a lot of cross-pollination, you know, from those different religions, and, you know, and how it shaped, you know, historical events. Go.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have had to gone east. He would have found all those teachings around him because of the Silk Road.
Exactly.
So he would have been able to, yeah, because like the Tao Te Ching, the golden rule is in there.
I have the book.
Yeah, so if you read it, you'll find the golden rule that, you know, do unto others as you'd have done unto you.
Yeah.
That's written in there. I can grab my and pull it out, but so it you know, saying that, oh well, Jesus had no contact, or I shouldn't say Jesus, because the teachings were probably, I mean, if you read not that far into it, Lao Tzu's writings, he has that rule written. So of course Christ was influenced by that somehow. But the idea is like in Stoicism, the idea is like in Buddhism that you're supposed to get away from your emotional desires and decisions, because that's what leads you to suffering. That's
a huge in Stoicism.
Yes, and that's a Buddhist teaching. You know, that's impermanence. That's another one where, you know, that's another teaching of Stoicism that's found in Buddhism. Let me think if I can think of any other ones. control over your mind. So
discipline.
Yes, what's his name? The great Stoic philosopher. He talks about all the time that the only thing you can control is your thoughts. You can't control anything else around you. And so that is one of the 5 pillars of Buddhism. So it's like to say that these two concepts grew up and didn't wasn't influenced by each other at all. Of course not. That's the teachings of Buddhism came to Hellenistic Greece, and they took those ideas and conformed it to their own cultural understandings. Mm-hmm. And so just like when you read a lot of the teachings of Christ, there's a lot of stoicism in it. Like you can tell that Greek philosophy heavily influenced Jewish thought of the time. Mm-hmm. And that's how things really work in the real world is, ideas are shared and then morphed into a culture and changed to fit that cultural understanding.
Well, and I think you nailed it. Israel, modern day Israel, that it was the hub. I mean, it was the gateway to Africa. It was, it was the crossroads to Africa, to Europe, to, Southeast Asia, the Silk Road, all of that. Spices came through there. And with that came knowledge, with that came religion, so, that's why, the holy city now, you have all these different temples of different religions and, kind of fingerprints of, all these different cultures in that area is because of that. And honestly, I think there would be more if there wasn't so much conflict in that area, because, as we've seen over the past couple of decades, especially with, kind of the more extreme of, the Islamic extremists, they go around and they destroy, everything that's not Muslim. They blow up, the Buddhist idols and, pretty much all the ancient Mesopotamia. Around the time I was there last, my last deployment, right after I left is when ISIS rolled into Mosul, and that's the area that I was in. And I remember watching on the news when they were going around, and I forget, Taylor, you probably know, I forget the name of the ancient city. It's not but there's an ancient city that was there in ruins, and they just went through and just destroyed that place.
Yeah, and they blew up all those it was horrific. This was a Sunday school lesson I used to teach all the time that I found it fascinating that when God took Abraham, because Abraham was from Ur in Chaldees, which was Babylonian territory, and he takes them and he goes to Egypt, of course, and then he leaves Egypt and he takes them to Israel, and he goes, "This is the promised land." And if you anciently were to pick the worst piece of real estate in the world, it was Israel. Because literally at the 4 corners of Israel arose the 4 major empires of the world: Egypt, Babylon, the Greeks, and the Romans. And the way the Mediterranean's designed is every single one of them have to march their armies through Israel. So literally God went, "Here, Abraham, I'm going to give to you and your children the worst piece of real estate in the world of the ancient world." Because God's
kind of a douchebag if you think about it.
One could make that argument.
I think that he's a drunk. I think that God is a drunk.
Yeah, but that's like what a lot of us. That's why Judaism had even though it's never been a big religion, it had so much effect on the world because basically those empires, when they traded with each other, had to go through Jerusalem and that territory.
Yeah.
And so their ideas and thoughts were mixed in. They were a central part to everything, but it also was the worst piece of real estate that you could possibly be in because you were conquered repeatedly over and over by every empire.
Well, that's a good segue into our next topic, survival.
Yeah.
So the next topic is Survival Island, the modern man versus ancient skills. The topic: if you were stranded on a desert island but could bring one modern convenience or technology versus learning one ancient survival skill, what would you choose? Each person argues why their choice would be more beneficial for survival. This could lead to discussions on technology or technology dependency, ancient wisdom, and practical survival skills. They could also discuss how they would form a society if they were stuck there permanently. So let's start
Good
with.
Lord.
Well, let's just start with. Let's actually make it a little more modern. So let's say that tomorrow the world goes to shit and nothing, your job doesn't matter anymore. Money doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters anymore. You just have to survive. What is the one thing that you would grab? Of course, other than your family, stuff like that. But what is the one tool that you would grab that you think is the most important thing to survive?
Can I say a multi-tool? Or is that cheating?
You can say
Can
whatever
I
you
say
want.
Michael? I'm bringing Michael to the island. I'll be like, build me something, mofo. No, all right. Because
you need to steal a plane and get up here.
Because I don't know how open you are about your history, Michael, but obviously you're a veteran, and obviously you can share whatever you want to share about that. But I know some of your history, so I know what you have some skills of doing. And of course, you built your freaking cabin from scratch. Well, I know at least the title of some of the things you some ranks and some groups, and I know that Taylor was an Eagle Scout, and I know that I think cooking involves a microwave. So if I can't bring one of you two, I'm going to probably grab one of those life straw things, right? Because if you don't have water, you don't got nothing. I don't want to be getting dysentery day 2. So
that's actually a pretty smart choice.
Some kind of water filtration system.
Yeah. No, that's probably, they call it the rule of 3. You can survive 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food, and depending on the climate, like you can go 3 hours without proper shelter. Like if it's freezing outside. So that's a really good choice. Just off the cuff. Not having any kind of background like you do. So no, you got some good instincts.
There it is,
Taylor.
Well, I mean, the comments gun was put there. If it would probably if there's other humans around, it definitely would be a gun. Just because the reality is what other. But like I used to watch Alone. Did you ever watch Alone, Michael?
I love that show.
That was fantastic.
There was that one guy. Did you see when he jumped off the rock with a knife and killed the muskox?
Oh yeah, I was going to bring that up. That was absolutely amazing,
dude. I was impressed. I was like, holy shit! He like straight jumped off a rock, knifed a fucking muskox to death, and then like lived off of it the whole time.
Yes, and I was like, if this guy doesn't win it, I'm gonna be like blown away. But anyway, in that show, I became convinced that the greatest thing that you could have is a survival guide. A big old thing.
Yeah.
You would watch those guys and they would be experts and they would always forget like they're trying to start a fire and they couldn't remember the steps or you'd have one guy and he's like, oh, I know there's certain plants you can eat, but I can't remember if it's this one or that one. This one kills you. And then, and like, just like little things like that. And I always thought, why doesn't any one of them bring? Because they get what? Was it 10 items they could bring?
I forget. It's something like that. And
I always thought, I was like, why doesn't any one of them bring a survival guide? Like open that thing up and be like, okay, what can I eat today? Like, oh, here's the things you can actually like pick off the ground and eat. How do you start a fire when you don't have any fire starter? Like, here's your options to do. Like, I always thought that was like would be the most obvious. Maybe they had a rule like you couldn't do that, but that to me became like if you had at least a survival guide, you could at least attempt to survive. Because I know nothing. I'd be screwed in a few hours.
Well, I keep telling you, one of you guys need to get your private pilot's license, because if anything ever happened, you guys just need to get up here. Just fucking gangster a plane, fly up here, and I got you covered.
Nice.
We still need to talk about like building you and your family just a little vacation cabin up here, so that you have a place to stay when you come visit, and then if something ever happened, you have a place to stay.
Well, I sent you the picture of how I expect it to look on the inside.
We'll get to that. That's the next topic, is the man cave. But
finally, honestly, something I understand. All right, cool.
Well, in I'm doing a man cave, but all right. So other than my mind, because I mean, obviously I'm taking that, but that's the thing I hone the most, is I'm constantly teaching myself skills, because no matter what situation you ever find yourself in, your freaking mind is your greatest fucking tool. Resiliency, discipline, knowing how to do things, basically a mental survival guide. If you can learn skills, then really you can survive anywhere. If you know how to survive there, because there's people in every climate in the world that survive, and because they know how to survive there. And so if you focus on skills, that's your first step. Second, I would probably, a gun is an obvious choice. It does make things a lot easier as far as protection, but
I'm going to lock my door. Been creepy noises coming from down the hallway.
Okay, then we introduced the adults only portion of the broadcast.
Right. Go. If it's somebody, I want you to take the camera, and I want to see some BJJ going on. I want to see you go down on your butt. I want to see you go down your butt and like start scooting towards them.
Start scooting towards some dark demon.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful.
I can get in my guard. Like, I'm going to get you in my guard.
All right. Assuming that Taylor's not getting mugged, I have a question, because I actually thought about this, and I think there was a show came on, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. It was like for whatever reason, like the world, like the United States just like lost all electricity or something. It only lasted like a season or two. But kind of Walking Dead scenario. I've thought about this. I'm curious. So let's just say, for grins, there's 20 Michaels. We'll even throw Taylor. We'll elevate Taylor to the Michael category. And you're somewhere safe. For argument's sake, you don't have to worry about gangs or anything else. So basically, what I'm asking is, if we deposited a crew of you guys back in Jamestown in like 1650, right, with some just basic tools, right, maybe an axe, right, like I don't know, a few other things. How long? I mean, how many generations would if you had all the knowledge, right? Like how long would it take to rebuild society to today's level? 100 years, 50 years? In other words, in the sense of like you're literally starting day one going, okay, well, I'm going to pull this branch off. I'm going to rub it against a rock to make it sharp so I can kill something to eat. So then tomorrow I have some energy to dig out some ground. You fast forward a couple of years and you got like your log cabin maybe, and you got like because you eventually have to start mining shit, right? So you can then refine metal, and then that would let you create.
Well, that's a really good question. And sorry to cut you off, but
no, but you get my point.
No, I do, and that's a really good question, because like me, I have a lot of skills, but fucking I don't know. Like the thing that I think really slungshot the human race, because if you really think about it, we didn't make a ton of progress. I mean, pretty much everything was horses and buggies up until not too fucking long ago.
Steam engine and internal combustion engine.
Well, yeah, we didn't have the internal combustion engine. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have a lot of shit until about 100, 150 years ago, so, it's not a whole lot of progress was made until electricity. And then with electricity, all of a sudden in the, 40s, 50s, they came out with the first computers. And then it's just like everything went into fucking overdrive as far as technology. So really, I mean, in my mind, the thing that has really advanced the human race has been computers, and now AI that's coming. I think is going to be the next big leap forward.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, literally, we can let's say for argument's sake.
Hey, Jeff, I know the answer to this question.
You do? All right, go.
It's based on the population because the computing power of the human brain needs billions of people to pull off what we have today.
Okay.
The problem is like if you look at technological progress, nothing really happened until we finally got over the hump of 500 million people. And that mainly became because we could increase food supply. And once we learned fertilization techniques and we started getting machines to be able to help out, we could free people up to not be working farms in order to have large enough society. But that's really, if you look at everything, it's always has to been that transition of people being around.
Okay, but you're talking about a global. I'm talking about if you had like an electrical engineer and a physicist and a chemist and a metallurgist.
Okay.
Like look at C90's. Look at C90's.
No, that's what I was wanting to read.
That's what I'm talking about.
I guess he said something about Joe Rogan. He says revolution or grid down, power up. I recall Joe Rogan asking guests, you take 5 of your friends and the earth reset to dinosaurs. How long does it take to rebuild knowing what you know?
Boom.
So yeah, and Taylor's right. I mean, there has been other leaps forward, and culture was definitely one of them. It took us from being nomadic to actually being able to build like, sedimentary civilizations.
Agriculture,
right? Glotobia Techie, I always mispronounce it, but they think that about 15,000, 13,000 years ago is when we were able to do that.
Yeah. So the question is, if we already have the knowledge, like the books are all around and everything, and people can get to it, you just need enough people to pull off everything, which is going to be, I imagine that at least 100,000 people are going to need to be, because you got to think, you got to have miners, you got to have somebody that knows how to lay asphalt. You got to have someone that understands how to deal that. People that
can make clothing, spin yarn, all kinds of crap.
Exactly. You need people to raise kids. Like every position that's out there, we forget how many people it takes.
Well, going back to our other conversation, I think what it would take is building a civilization of any size that would attract those people and that could support those people. So, just like the Middle East, where the spice trade and, religion and all of those things attracted people, prosperity, attracted those people all to the same place to where they could share ideas and share knowledge. And so, all right, cool. All right.
Yeah, just think of this thing like right here. I have no idea how in the world you would make a can. Like I have no idea.
We can watch Modern Marvels or How It's Made,
right? Or an old Sesame Street. They usually show that shit eventually.
So I'll use this opportunity since we're talking about survival. The couple people I know everybody that's listening has probably heard my spiel on emergency preparedness, but with the hurricanes that are going on right now, down in Florida and stuff like that. It's almost daily. There's examples, please push your family members, push your friends to at least get a 72-hour kit. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Nicole. Nicole's one that actually has been impacted. Their power went out. They've been running off a generator for like a couple of days now.
Oh, good luck, Nicole.
I hope you and your man are doing okay, Nicole. But but yeah, it's just the fact that they have a generator, changed their life for these past couple of days. It's, not everybody can afford to go out and get a generator, but do it at a minimum. Get a couple cans of chili, a couple cans of soup, so you have some food to eat, for each person in your family. Get a couple flats of water, get the basics, so that you're not out, trying to fucking fist fight for toilet paper in, grocery stores because you neglected to prepare for a couple of days. So anyway.
Well, yeah, I was actually watching No, I was watching a guy, and he was like, "We have half a day left of gas for our generator," and it was like, I have generators just in case things go down, but I'm like, how much gas do I really have to like gas those things? And I realized, I don't have enough gas to keep it going very long, and it made me realize, like, oh my gosh, I need to figure this out a lot more, because listen, like he was like, help us. There's no help coming anytime soon. And then my fridge goes out, and I don't have any food after that.
What you need to do, Taylor, I need to come down there and I'll do an audit on you. But what you need to do is, you already got generators, but a propane generator is really good because you can get a propane tank, and then you can run that to your house as well. So if like everything went out, you would have, a big propane tank like I have here at the cabin, and I heat my house, cook my food, heat my water, run my generator, everything off of that propane tank for a year.
Taylor, I bet you we can't even get propane tanks because of our HOAs.
I bet you too. Yeah, I bet it.
Dude,
you got till 2027. At least that's what the UFO community says. That's the year and everything.
Just drop that in there. Hey guys, world ends 2027. Awesome.
Yeah.
No big deal. No big deal.
I've heard it from 3 different government sources, and then Lou Lozando, the guy that wrote that book, Imminent.
Yeah.
I was watching a podcast, and he was on there, and they asked him a question about that 2027 date, and he goes, "I can't talk about that." He didn't say, "No, that's not true." No, that he goes, "I just can't talk about it. That's highly classified information."
Awesome.
I'm like, well, that's gonna work. And here's something I want people to think about. All 4 presidents, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, all 4 of them have been asked, are there aliens that exist? All of them have been asked. You can go watch on YouTube. All of them have been asked on TV. Not one of them have denied it. They all changed the subject.
Oh yeah.
They all said the same thing. It's interesting. And then they move on.
That's a way of saying that you're onto something, but I'm not going to comment.
I can't release that information to you yet. Like, why wouldn't you just come out and say, no, we've researched this enough. We've looked at everything. I asked everybody, what about this? What about that? And they've all just came and, we found no evidence of it at all.
Trump just did it again this last week. You see it? It was like maybe a week and a half ago. He was on, some Fox morning show, I think.
Oh,
and somebody says, asks him, like, so are aliens real? Like, and he's like, well, all I know is I got pilots, the best pilots, incredible pilots, trust, incredible people. He's like, I like Tom Cruise better than Tom Cruise. Okay. He said that, better than Tom Cruise. And he's like, they just say something was flying 4 times as fast as my F-22s. And as you know, F-22s go really fast. So he's like, what the hell? It's like a week and a half ago.
I
whatever.
Dude, if not for anything else, Trump is entertaining as shit.
Oh, that's the truth. I mean, he'll make you laugh. Whether it's about something you want to be laughing about or not is a whole different situation, but he'll make you laugh. I thought it was so funny. He's like, better than Tom Cruise. So funny.
Dude, I just checked Bitcoin, and I had a limit order set because I had a feeling it was going to dump, and I had a limit order set for 65K, and it just barely freaking didn't fill.
Went to like 65.2 or something.
No, it dipped down to looks like 65,090. So if it would have dropped like $90 more, it would have filled my fucking limit order. Oh, I should have bumped it up.
There was a question on earlier. Somebody put up how big your tank was that lets you power things for a year. Propane tank.
Oh, yeah. So mine is it 100? Yeah, I want to say mine's 100-gallon. Yeah, 100-gallon tank. And but yeah, it's like I think I'm sitting at about 40% or 30%, and I want to say it was October of last year that I filled it. So it actually, if you were, but it's just me living here. So like Taylor, he has a pretty large family and a much larger house, but he doesn't have to heat it as much. So it would pretty much, no matter where you're at, that would last you a year. And if you were really careful about how you used it, it could be stretched out for much longer. So anybody that can, I would highly suggest getting a propane tank. You can rent one for $100 a year, or I think the going rate right now is about $2,500 to buy one outright.
Wow, that's like a good deal.
Or just have Jeff's plan. He's gonna die.
What's my plan?
That's like,
oh yeah, I'm gonna die. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna test that heaven theory out real direct. We'll be like, guys, I'm not trying. I don't even want to go back to the 80s, much less the Stone Age. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, I love the 80s. And C90, it might be a 500-gallon tank. I'm a little buzzed right now, and it's been a minute since I looked at it. But and honestly, I think it is a 500-gallon tank.
So it's still a good deal, though.
Well, this will give you a better idea if somebody wants to do the math. I spent about $700 to fill it, and I'm wanting to say it was like $2.50 or $3 a gallon. So what would that be?
Well, if it's $2.50 a gallon, it's about a $3.50 tank.
Well, and it wasn't all the way empty, so it's probably a 500-gallon. It's probably a 500-gallon tank.
Okay. So I gotta tape up my man cave. When we can get to that?
Oh yeah. Okay, here. Let's jump into that. All right, the ultimate man cave. And all right, you're going first, Jeff, and I'm sharing yours. Hold on. Let me pull up. Jeff shared this with me earlier.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. I asked him what his man cave would look like. Let me share my screen real quick.
Oh, as you're doing this, I see the 80s are the best here from Nicole. I got to say, I saw on Twitter today, earlier the year, Metallica was playing like in Munich or someplace overseas, pouring rain, like pouring rain. They're on stage, right? Electric guitars, amps everywhere. They don't care. They don't leave. They play 9 minutes. I'll have to send it to you. 9 minutes version of Master of Puppets. Just badass. So yes, in that sense, the 80s were awesome.
There it is. Can you see it?
I can't.
You gotta make it bigger. Can you make it the whole screen size?
That's what she said.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if I can get it, like, share my screen. If for some reason it's here, let's do this. There we go. All right. This is Jeff's.
Dare I even see? Oh yeah.
I don't see it. Where is it?
You have to scroll down on the thing. It's down at screen 1. At least on my phone, it's down there. But it's there's the BDSM Cave of Wonders.
So that's Jeff's man cave.
So while I don't have a pic, I mean, I do have a. One of the benefits of living in Texas, right, is it's housing so much less expensive than it is most other places. And when we bought our house, and
it's a lot more expensive though.
Oh, much more. But I bought my house 10 years ago. But what's funny is when we bought our house, like the house we bought, the first floor is like 2,600 square feet, which was what we kind of like quote unquote needed, right? I mean, if you want to be that kind of person that says you need to have this, even though 95% of the world lives in less than that, right? But for like 30 grand more over a 30-year mortgage, right? So it was like $110 a month or $130 a month or whatever it was. But like for like 30 grand more, you could go up and add another 1,100 square feet. I'm like, honey, we have to do that. We had like a game room, a full bath, a master, like a second master suite, and a media room, which is an empty room that I put a screen in, a projector. And of course, but it made the house much bigger, right? It increased the house by 50%. And so my wife was just like kind of appalled by the idea. She's like, we don't need that. And I'm like, I know we don't need it, but everybody else is going to do it. We need to do it from a, marketing perspective one day and selling the house and so on and so forth. So I do have a wee man cave, but about 11 years ago, I got invited to a poker deal at a buddy of mine's, a friend of a friend's house. And this guy's extremely successful, really humble guy. You would never know that he was worth, ridiculous sums of money. He turned his third story. So first of all, he has a third story. Second of all, he turned his third story into basically like you walk in and it looks like a replica of Cheers, right? Everything's wood everywhere, right? Full bar, a bar, like could seat like 30 people bar, wrap around, gigantic bar. He collected not video games, parlor games that you would have found in saloons in the Old West in like the 1860s, cool. 1880s, 1890s, like kind of pinball machine type stuff. But there's other kinds of games like that. And then he had like 4 or 5 different Texas Hold'em tables. He had over one segment, he had like the full, the big screen with like, theater seating with like maybe 3 rows of like chairs of, 4 chairs. Golf simulator. I mean, that was a man cave. Granted, at the time that I went, I think it actually was right before I bought this house, and his man cave was bigger than the home I was living in. But dude, that has one, forever impressed me, and 2, ruined me for all other man caves. It was like 2,800 square feet.
Mine's going to be the best, even though AI.
All right, hold on. Let me pull it up, Taylor. Let me pull it up.
Pull it up.
And then let's see this.
All right, here we go. Let me share my screen. All right, go.
Well, now go to the presentation button. You have it on auto right now. Across the top.
Oh, I see it. I see
okay.
Michael's.
All right. I'm learning.
That's it.
It's only our second episode. I'm still learning how to use this stuff. All right.
What am I looking at here? Is that like a hot tub? What is this?
So
it looks like a lap pool, or like not a lap pool, but one of those like water treadmills.
It's supposed to be a cold plunge because I want a cold plunge. You couldn't see my hot tub I wanted in here, but I want a cold plunge and a hot tub together. In the far distance, you see my meditation bed where I could just lay and chill. And then behind there is my 500 square foot shower. In there.
In case you want to shower with other dudes, because this is supposed to be.
Yeah. How many people you showering with, there, Taylor? All right, that's fine. Go on.
I won't be showering with dudes in it. All right. It's my man cave. All right. And then this room right here in the middle, that goes to my jujitsu room where I could practice. It's a huge area where there'd be mats on the ground and everything. Then on the right,
so after you go do some BJJ, then you and all your buddies go in the shower.
Oh yeah, we can all get together. Then there was a steam room in the back over there too on the left. But then on the right here, there's a big, huge theater that I'd have with a bar in it and stuff. And
nice.
That's my man. And then there's of course a gym. I would want a gym in my man cave. That's my man cave. That's what I want.
And the sad thing is that you could probably afford this.
If I spent all my money, I probably could. But
yeah.
I sold a couple of kids.
It's an investment. It's an investment.
It's an investment into what we really need in life.
Yeah.
Guys, since I'm on my phone, I literally got an alert just now that just scrolled down. It's like a YouTube alert, and I just said found my fitness clip, and it says why drinking tap water is putting microplastics into your sperm.
Oh, dude!
So I just wanted to share that with you.
I'm ruined when it comes. Anytime I go anywhere, I fill up jugs and I take my well water with me because I cannot drink tap water anymore. And even I'll drink bottled water if I have to, but it tastes like shit compared to well water.
Mm-hmm. You don't have the minerals.
But yeah. So all right, cool. We'll stop sharing that. And let's see. We'll share Gary's real quick. He's not here, but let's see. He wanted me to share this one. Let's see. Oh, that was one of the ones I was looking at. Well, here, I'll share mine real quick since I pulled it up. This. I mean, I know it looks a lot like my cabin, but
it does look a lot like your cabin.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But and honestly, my cabin is kind of my man cave because I live alone.
Yeah.
So
You did build your own man cave.
Looks like Churchill's living room. Look at that fire. Got the rich leather.
I love those rollback couches. Those tufted rollback, leather, sofas and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just fucking badass. But those big beams that go across, and then you just got your liquor cabinets in the back, and I'd probably just have like a old clawfoot out on the patio for a cold plunge, and then have like a second clawfoot. And I have all the stuff for it. It's one of my projects for this fall. But I saw where you can take a cast iron tub, and then you take this copper coil and you fill it up and you put it like in a barrel, and then you light a fire in it. And the drain, you attach the bottom of the coil to the drain. It drains into the coil. The barrel heats up the water, and as it heats up, it goes up the coil, and then goes back, the top of it goes back into the tub. So it just heats the water. So it's basically a wood-fired hot tub.
Nice.
And so it's like, that's what I plan on building on my patio out here this fall. But that's pretty much all I need. Just a place to play some cards and, have some drinks and just fucking relax. But yeah, mine is kind of like, I guess I already got that. I built a cabin. So let's see. And we'll do the last one real quick. Where's Gary's at? Here's Gary's. All right. So yeah, see, like these chairs are freaking badass. Freaking that,
yes,
like
they
Gary, I freaking love those. And have a couch that matches those. That would just be badass. But
I like the dark wood library vibe to it too.
It has a very chill feel to it.
Yeah.
Dark wood, instead of books, alcohol.
Yes.
You can read the labels.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? Each one of them tells a story.
Yeah.
All right.
Or at least you drink enough, they'll let you tell the story. That's for sure.
It's true. Oh, let's see. But yeah, no, it's I mean, we went a little bit over. I definitely wanted to try to get through our topics. And I know you guys are busy and it's later there for you guys. You guys probably need to get home. But you guys have any closing comments, Jeff?
Weirdly, no. I'm just sad about my man cave that doesn't exist.
You know what? We need to talk because me and Gary are already talking, and me and Taylor have talked before. I got that property in Hawaii that I have 3 acres on the Big Island that I've done nothing with, that we could do something really cool with. And I got the property here that we could do something cool with. If you guys ever wanted to just do like a small little getaway place, I wouldn't mind. But no, we definitely need to chat because I'm doing pretty good with my investments, and I definitely want to do something with it that is going to generate revenue. And
dude, if you could have like the equivalent like a destination man cave guy trip, VBRO, because I'll tell you, the same guy actually, he ended up that I was telling you guys about before, he has a ranch up in Oklahoma, and he built a lake because he wanted a lake, so he built a lake.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Anyway,
about that.
so but he's got this cabin, right? And he's got it to where it sleeps like, I think he's got 2 different bunk rooms. The bunks are queen size beds, which is awesome. But downstairs, sitting area for big TV and watching the game, whatever, poker table, foosball table, like the shuttleboard thing, pool table, whatever, kitchen, and then the back patio. He has a like a little, one of those little like artificial turf, like little like a 3x3 square that you would get like at Top Golf. and he just gets old ass buckets of balls and he just hits them off into the water. It has he has like a bucket he put on a buoy out there, like 150 yards out, and got everybody puts like 50 cents or $1 in to try like 5 shots, and you win the bounty if you ever get it in the, which nobody did. But a place but we had a guys' weekend there, and dude, everybody just loved it. You bring your food, you bring the drinks, everybody take turns cooking and donating, and you just hang out. Man, you do something like that in Hawaii, you print money. I'm telling you.
And like I said, I mean, I want to do something with it because I've owned it since 2008, and I've gone there, and I've camped on it. I've van camped around the island, and hit all the different spots, and where like the sea turtles are, and like snorkeled and watched the whales breach in the morning while I drank my coffee, and just had a great time. Just basically lived in a van. I went to the Walmart, I rented a van. It landed, went and picked it up, and went to Walmart and bought an inflatable mattress and a cooler, and and I had my backpack that I camp with that I used when you guys were here, and it had like my little stove and all that stuff. Took that with me, and I just for a week I just went around the island and just like stopped at different places and camped out for a day or two and just enjoyed the island. But yeah. No, I would love to talk to you guys about doing something because I definitely think that there's something there to where you could do something like we did when we went up the mountain, just give guys like a getaway to where they can just get out, get away from their everyday life, that everybody get up, that rinse and repeat of get up, go to work, do your job, come home, take a shower, eat some dinner, spend a little bit of time with your family, and rinse and repeat. I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of guys especially, that are like hungry to like get out and just like kind of reconnect, with like what it is to be a dude.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Anyway, we can end with that. But
all right.
Thanks for everybody for stopping by. If you could, please, like and share, all the usual things. Help us get the word out about the show. I definitely would like to, grow this, not necessarily to make money off of it, but just to kind of give people a place to come and disconnect. Not necessarily. I try to stay away from politics on this one. There's enough channels that talk about that. It's littered in here, but there's enough going on in the world, and we're bombarded by it. I want a place where people can come, have a drink, have a smoke, whatever you want to smoke, and relax and disconnect. And so, I think that there needs to be more of that. And if so, please, again, like and share this. And if you could, the couple of you that are listening, Crypto Breezy, C90, Nicole, all my peeps, post your, your she shed or your man cave online and tag
she shed.
Well, Nicole is and I'm surprised that Bad Fox isn't here, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of ladies out there, it's I think that they there's a need for them to be able to disconnect as well. And I think that there's a huge shortage, and a lot of the women, being a single guy, a lot of the women that I go out on dates with and stuff, a lot of them are like really hungry for a dude that's a dude. And there's a lot of guys out there that just don't have any testosterone or masculinity to them. And I don't know how many times I've gone out on dates, and they're just like, it's refreshing to sit down and talk to a dude. And at first I didn't understand what they were talking about, but I'm starting to understand, especially being online and, talking to people and, debating people on social media and stuff like that is, the whole toxic, and I won't go on a rant here, but, the whole toxic masculinity thing, it's destroyed young men. And, I think that there is a need for men to reconnect with what it is to be a man, a good, honorable man. And, women to reconnect with what a real man is, a good, honorable man. So we'll end with that. But I appreciate everybody showing up. Taylor, Jeff, thank you. And we'll make. I know Gary's not going to be here next week. It's his wife's birthday. He's going to Oktoberfest. And didn't you have something going on, Jeff?
I did tonight, but I was able to move things around. I may or may not be here next week. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I enjoy chatting with you, man.
This has been great. I have a good time. So I guess till next time.
Till next time.
Guys. We'll see you.
See you guys
Later.